Welcome to the Hawaiiverse podcast, a podcast that supports local by saying kupuna, which means elder, and not kapuna, which means the spoon. I'm your host, Kamaka Diaz, and hau'oli mahina olela Hawai'i. For those who don't know, February is Hawaiian Language Month. In honor of this awesome month and my first language, for the next few episodes until March, I will be sharing a hua olelo okala with you all, a Hawaiian word of the day. So to kick it off, here is the first one, kamaʻilio. This means to talk, converse, basically talk stories like we do here on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Okay, let's introduce our guest and kamaʻilio with her. Our guest is an award-winning journalist from the island of Kauaʻi. This wife and mother to two furry animals is an accomplished and sought-after television personality, entrepreneur, and journalist with a bachelor's and master's degree in speech communication from the Hawaii Pacific University. As an award-winning reporter and news anchor, she received recognition from her journalistic excellence as a recipient of the distinguished Edward R. Murrow Award. Numerous Society of Professional Journalists awards and recent work has garnered a Telly and an Emmy nomination. In 2004, if she's not already impressive enough, the Kauaʻi native held the title of Miss Hawaiʻi, representing the Aloha State at the prestigious Miss America pageant in Atlantic City. Now, she's the founder of a successful marketing and communication firm with clients across the globe. She also produces the stars in the Best Hawaii TV show and podcast broadcast on the Hawaiian Telecom YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm so stoked she's here today, and I hope she doesn't do any more things or else her bio is going to be way too long and no one can ever get through it. Her name is Olena Heu. Aloha, Olena. Welcome to the podcast.
Aloha. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, mahalo for coming. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very excited. And you always emit so much aloha and so much joy. And I really enjoy spending time with you. So
mahalo. Yes, I appreciate you for saying that and working with us again. We met during the pandemic, I think. We recorded like a Hawaiiverse spotlight at somewhere in town.
Kaka'ako.
Kaka'ako at this place
we went to a taco.
Telaquaches. I think it's still hard to say.
Telaquaches.
And that was really fun. It was so good to meet you, and you have such a great personality. You also exude a lot of aloha, and it's always good seeing you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I just want to say for people watching this and listening, we're at ID8 Studios for the first time here. They are letting us squat over here and produce our podcast. So I just want to say a huge mahalo to them. Make sure you go follow them. If you need any production work, they have a big studio right next to us, right outside of this. So make sure you hit them up.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yes. Okay. So we have a lot to talk about. We were talking a lot before
and getting
before
caught
this.
off guard.
So let's put it in the podcast so people can tune into what we've been talking about. But before we do all of that, I just want to know where you from, where you grad, and what was it like growing up?
Okay, I'm from Kilauea on the island of Kauaʻi. I graduated from Kapa'a High School. And what it was like growing up, I'm an only child to a single parent mom, and my mom was from New York. So I was raised by a haole mom. And it was interesting. Kauaʻi, as most people probably know, is more isolated and country than Honolulu. So it was my goal to graduate, get out of there, and come to the big city and go to school.
So growing up on Kauaʻi, what was that like? It's a small place. I mean, did you get into trouble? You seem like you have a pretty good head on your shoulders.
I was a pretty good kid because there wasn't very much to do on the island except for like bonfires at the beach or riding my bike around town. I was in show choir. I did a ton of extracurriculars. I was a swimmer. I did the mock trial debate team.
Wow.
And then I also participated in a lot of clubs like Key Club, Earth Club. I was class treasurer. So just, trying to keep myself busy so I wouldn't end up, having babies and staying on Kauai.
Yeah. That's a common thing when you come from a small town. Like I'm from Hilo, so I totally, understand that. I'm lucky I don't want to say lucky, but I didn't have kids. I don't have any kids at a young age. I was able to focus on, building my career and doing things that I want to do before, getting into trouble. Falling into drugs, alcohol. If you're from a small town,
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't fall into that same system.
I would say my goals when I was growing up were to get an education, pursue my career, and happiness. And so, for some people, their goals might be different. It might be start a family, stuff like that. So I just always sought to achieve those 3 goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how you said that it's people have different goals, because maybe some people, their goal is to have a family, start at an early age, pop out 5, 6, 7, 8 kids or whatever.
Basketball team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can coach your own team. Yeah, so it's not a knock on anybody. Everybody has different career paths. Everybody goes through life differently. So, everybody, for the most part, I feel like falls into where they need to be, whether that takes you, 20 years to figure it out, 30, 40, 50 years. At some point, you kind of find what you love to do, what you're passionate about, and you stick with it. Or some people reinvent themselves at like 50 or 60, and then that's totally okay too.
Well, and they say every 7 years, molecularly and cellularly, your body changes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the cells in your body continue to evolve and change and adapt and grow. And so you can continuously, that's why they call it the 7-year itch, right? You change. So from a molecular standpoint.
Wow. I didn't know. And you're just talking about internally or like physically, outwardly, internally, everything.
Everything.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So that's kind of interesting too, because I was at KHON on the news as a news anchor for 7 years. And then I felt this desire to change that path. So like you said, you can like change. And so that's kind of, it all kind of falls in line with that.
Okay. How long have you been married?
Ooh, I think
longer than 7 years?
14.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So he's made it to two series.
This year will be 15.
Okay.
So yeah, we're good.
Okay. Nothing changed too much.
Nothing's itchy.
You don't want to move on to the next.
It's just growing and growing.
Okay. Awesome. So how did you get into pageantry, and how did you end up becoming Miss Hawaiʻi? Did you do that while you were in college?
So I graduated when I was 17. And my mom didn't have like a scholarship fund. I did apply for some scholarships here and there, but I needed money to go to school. So I ran for Miss Garden Isle. And I wanted to compete for Miss Hawaiʻi because I was, one of those girls that grew up watching the pageant and dreaming of being Miss Hawaiʻi one day. And so I ran, and I actually missed my project grad because it was the same weekend.
Oh, wow.
And I competed, and I came in second runner-up. And then the next year, they're like, you got to run again. You came so close. So then I ran as Miss Kauaʻi the next year, and then I came in first runner-up. And so then I was like, okay. And everyone's like, oh, guarantee, you run again one more time. One more time, you'll win. And I said, nah. So then I actually took a break, and I lived here on Oahu, and I worked, and I traveled a little bit, and I kind of honed what I wanted to do. And so each year that I ran, I would get tuition waivers to Hawaii Pacific University and scholarships and grants to go to college.
Oh, nice.
So I just, accrued all of that and kept it. And then I came back and I ran again, and then I came in second runner-up again, and then I ran the 4th time as Miss West Oahu, and then I won.
It's a story of resiliency right there.
Yeah. So it's determination. And, I came in like top 2, top 3 every time. So it wasn't like, stop already, right? It was like, okay, I'm kind of close. Yeah. And then, obviously by gaining the opportunities and the scholarship monies, I just thought, okay, well, let me continue to try. And there are other girls that have competed before many, many times. And so that's kind of the whole progress of how it came to be. So I was 23 when I won, and you have until you're 24.
Oh, just made the cutoff.
Yeah. And so it was really a dream come true. And then after I took a year off for, to run for Miss America and all that. And then I came back and I finished up my college education with no student loans.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I know you know a thing or two about.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I paid off all my student loans in 11 months, $53,757, I think.
Wow.
With the help of a lot of people. That's so amazing that you were able to pay your way through college and come out with no student loans, because there's people, my parents, probably even their parents. I don't know how many generations we have to go up that still have student loans these days.
Yeah.
So that's cool. One question that I have, because at least for me and some people, I feel like we get confused between all the Miss Hawaii,
Okay.
Miss Hawai'i
Let's do
USA,
it. Let's do it.
So bring out your chartboard, your whiteboard,
Oh,
whatever.
gosh, I
Do
wish I
Josh
did.
Green style and explain to us the difference, because
Okay.
I see so many different pageant people winning things all the time. And also, like when I go to parades, I see like Little Miss Teen Hilo, Miss Hawaii Coffee,
Yeah.
Miss Petite, Miss
Okay.
5 feet tall, blonde hair, like whatever. Like there's so many random ones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take you to the beginning. Miss America
Mhm.
started 102 years ago.
That long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. They celebrated their 100th anniversary 2 years ago.
Wow.
And it was actually founded in Atlantic City, New Jersey, as a swimsuit competition
Hmm.
to bring in revenue for Atlantic City, which is kind of like a Vegas, right? There's gambling.
Yeah,
and stuff.
they have gambling.
So they had the swimsuit competition, and they crowned the first girl Miss America.
Mhm.
And then it evolved. So progress it, like 60 years past that, and it becomes the #1 provider of scholarships for women in the country. And so
Hmm.
now Miss America as, this icon, and she has talent and grace and beauty, and there are all these women from around the
There's
country.
a song, right?
Yeah.
That says all of that.
And so 76 years ago, Miss Hawaiʻi was formed,
Okay.
and it was actually a preliminary to Miss America, and they provide a representative from the state, right, to compete.
Mhm.
And so in that, you would have swimsuit, talent, evening gown, onstage question, and interview. And, a few years after that, there's another pageant that started called Miss USA.
Mhm.
Miss USA is what they call a beauty pageant, and it's interview, swimsuit, evening gown, and onstage question. There's no talent. And so Miss USA ends up going to Miss Universe, and Miss America is just a scholarship program for women to earn scholarships to go to college.
Mhm.
So in the big world of things, you could say
Okay.
there are two major pageants. There's Miss USA and Miss America. So I actually competed for Miss America.
Okay.
And so Miss America is actually a nonprofit organization. So is Miss Hawaiʻi. And so we're governed by a board of directors and put on the competition for women in Hawaii, or for women that go to school in Hawaii, so they can pay for their college tuition. And with that, you get some really cool prizes. Like you can travel wherever Hawaiian Airlines flies. You
For
get
free?
wardrobe for Miss America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's a really great opportunity. When I was Miss Hawaiʻi, I went to Japan like 7 times. Not only did I go to New Jersey for Miss America, but I went to I went to Chicago, I went to San Fran, I went to Missouri, I went to Shanghai, China, just all over the world representing the state. So Miss Hawaiʻi, the one that goes to Miss America, the differentiating factors are that it's a scholarship program, it's a nonprofit, and when the girls compete, they perform talent. So those are kind of the major ones. And then also to kind of add more confusion to the puzzle, there's Miss Narcissus, Miss Cherry Blossom, Miss Chinatown, Miss Filipina.
Yeah, Miss
Miss Asia,
Latina.
Hawaii.
Like,
yeah. And so,
it's so many.
I would say it's not as if anybody's better than the other. Some have been around longer. But they're all essentially trying to provide opportunities for women, right? To pursue their dreams, to pursue education, for career opportunities as well. So I support them all. I've been known to judge, various types of pageants and stuff. But so hopefully that sheds some light.
Yeah, I hope everybody's still following. So one's for a scholarship, one is just like, is there a prize?
Yeah.
Money?
So I usually don't really know the prizes for like the Miss USA side. It's a little bit more, beauty focused. For Miss Hawaiʻi this year, we have thousands and thousands of dollars of scholarship, full ride to Hawaii Pacific University, and some other scholarships to other universities as well.
Okay. So who's Miss So right now it's Miss Hawaiʻi and Miss Hawaiʻi USA.
Yes, if you're breaking down the top 2 pageants in the state. Yeah. So Miss Hawaiʻi right now is Lauren Taruya.
Okay.
She went to Miss America in December and placed in the top 10.
Okay.
She went to Iolani and USC.
So that is, okay, let's see if this is my test. So that's just the regular pageant, like with the talent.
Yep.
So business, not nonprofit.
It is nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
So they're both nonprofits.
No.
Oh, I'm so confused. Okay. So
Rattle off some names and I'll tell you.
So the scholarship one isn't the nonprofit one.
It is.
Oh my God. I'm so bad. I thought I was following. I thought I really. So scholarship is a nonprofit, but that's Miss America.
Yep.
That doesn't go further than Miss America.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Miss Hawai'i USA, that goes on to Miss America, Miss USA.
Yep.
Then Miss Universe.
Yes.
Okay. And that
and
one.
And to guys listening, guys are going,
okay.
Wah, 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 wah.
Okay. I really want to nail this down because I see it all the time on social media. I'm like, oh, there's a new person here, and like, okay, but I thought they just had a Miss Hawai'i, but there's another Miss Hawai'i.
Yeah.
So that's where all the confusion comes from.
And I've even seen other Miss Hawai'i pageants that like say other things after the name, like Miss Hawai'i, blah blah blah, Miss Hawai'i, blah, blah. They'll even say they're Miss Hawai'i also.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's okay. I'm like,
why are there so many?
I think in Hawaii, we kind of started off with it, right? We're so welcoming and aloha. And I think that's kind of perpetuating the legacy of aloha here. It's inclusion. It's letting women have all of these opportunities and express themselves. And, I think that might play into it. In Tennessee, we might not know about all their other pageants, but in Hawaii, we have so many cultures, so many people. And so I think that's what it's about. It's just that.
Very true. That's a good point that you brought up. And like you said, Hawaii is a very inclusive place. I mean, we have the saying, it's a kako thing, all of us included, So yeah, I like that you said that. I never thought about that. I just was like, another pageant winner.
Yeah. And I don't know the motivation behind all of the pageants, but some of them can be a good moneymaker, right? Yeah. You get all these girls to compete, they pay a fee, they sell tickets. For Miss America, it's different. You don't pay a big entry fee. You're not required to sell tickets. You're not required to sell ads. It's more about providing scholarships.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything like Mr. Hawai'i, Mr.
There
America?
Actually was.
Okay.
Back in the 2000s. And I'm going to have you guess who you think
won. We know this person?
Yeah, you know him for sure.
Jordan Tano, right here. Augie T?
No.
Oh, okay.
Think of someone that's a mega star that's from Hawaii that's
Jason
super
Momoa?
handsome.
Jason Momoa?
Yep.
He was Mr. Hawaii?
So there was...
That makes sense. Come on. That makes sense.
Eric and Takeo, Eric Chandler and Takeo Kobayashi, they used to run the Miss Hawai'i USA program. And if you do a little bit of research on Jason Momoa, Eric and Takeo were kind of like his Hanai uncles. And he had actually come home, I think, last year for Eric's funeral. And, so like if you kind of look back, he was home. But they decided to have a Mr. Hawaii pageant. And he would go back and forth right between the South and Hawaii because his dad's here and his mom's on the mainland. And he came and he actually won.
That's cheap, though.
I was there. It was at the Sheraton Waikiki.
What year was this?
I want to say 2000-ish. Because it was during the break where I wasn't running in pageants. So like right around 2000 something, he was Mr. It might have been Mr. Hawaii something, but I remember it was like a
Mr. Hawaii Hammer. That's Jason Momoa. Yeah. Did you guys know that? Let us know in the comments because I had no idea.
Yep.
Wow. And how come they stopped that?
I want to say they might have only had the competition a couple times. I don't think they continued to have it.
They had the first one. They're like Jason Momoa one, like
big shoes to fill.
Nobody can live up to this guy. Let's just cancel it.
And then an interesting fun fact as well. I had a speaking part in Baywatch Hawaii with Jason.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Dang. I didn't realize he was around for so long because it just feels like in the last, I don't know, 5 to 7 years, he's really like come to the forefront of like Hollywood and everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's been around for a while. I see old videos without his long hair.
Yep. He was all
hair.
Clean cut. With his beautiful eyes and a smile. Yeah. So my line was, I was in a canoe. Okay. It was outside the Hilton Hawaiian Village and I was paddling and there was a guy and a girl and the girl was kind of in trouble. And I go by and I say, "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" And then Jason just smiled at me.
I would have fake drowned.
Yeah, I know.
Help, Jason.
I need help.
I can't breathe.
Mr. Hawai'i.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you ran for Miss Hawaiʻi, you won. And then, so what was the aftermath of that? Because I'm gonna guess it led to a lot of the things that you're doing now. I mean, you were on the news. I feel like that's kind of a common thing, you know, like Malika Dudley. She also worked for the news after winning
Yep.
Miss Hawaiʻi. So, yeah. So what was your career path after winning Miss Hawaiʻi?
So after you win Miss Hawaiʻi, your year is very, very busy.
Mhm.
They call it the year of service
Yeah.
because like 90% of what you're doing is volunteer. So you come back, and then I had that one last year, right, to finish up my bachelor's. And I was studying speech communication, and I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to be, but I thought I wanted to get into like broadcasting. I hosted a TV show that some people might remember called Countdown Hawaii.
Okay.
It was on OC16. It was like a top 10 show where we count down the top 10 plate lunch, or you know, stuff like that. So during my senior year, I decided to do my practicum at KHNL. So I pop on over to KHNL, I start interning, and everyone's like, oh, what do you want to be? A news anchor? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like I'd done some TV, I was Miss Hawaiʻi, I didn't really know what I wanted to be. And so I went out, and it was like a click it or ticket campaign. And they're like, here, interview this guy. He's with the Department of Transportation. I was like, what do I say? They're like, ask him questions. So I did it, and I was like, it clicked. I was like, this is what I was meant to do. And so I extended my internship. They said I was like the best intern they ever had. And I would go out, they would send me with a cameraman to breaking news, to murders, stabbings, candlelight vigils for a Japanese national that was murdered on the North Shore. I was covering all this stuff, and I was just an intern. So long story short, they're like, we think you'd make a really good morning anchor. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, we should bring you in. So I'm like, okay. So they bring me in. They have me test with Howard Deshefsky and Paul Drews. They had me come in. And
still there.
Well, this is KHNL. So this is like back when KHNL was at the PBS building on Sand Island.
Wow.
So this is before Hawaii News now.
Okay.
And so they had me test, and I'm like super nervous. Like I never anchored the news before. I'd been on camera.
Live, like,
well, it's just like practice.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So I'm reading the teleprompter, and I'm like super nervous. And so John Fink comes out afterwards and tells me like, oh, I don't think so. But, you know, we'll offer you weather. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do the weather. So they're like, oh, well, you know, you don't have any experience, so no one's going to hire you. So I said, oh, okay. And then at the time, KGMB, they were across from Ala Moana Center at the time. They were going to start a new morning show called Sunrise. So they're like, oh, you know, people are like, you should go over there. They're hiring. So I go over to KGMB, I interview, I show them my binder from all the stuff I did at KHNL. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm interested. They're like, ooh, we just hired this girl that was Miss Hawaiʻi. Her name's Malika. I was like, oh, shucks. Okay. They're like, yeah, you know, no one's going to hire you. You don't have any experience. And then Ron Mizutani called. And he said, hey, heard you want to get into the news. And I said, yeah. So he connects me with Lori, and she was their news director at KHON. So we meet. We actually met at Zippy's Ala Moana Center, which is no longer there. And I sit down with her, and she's like, so what do you know, what is this about? What do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a respected journalist, and I don't want to do the weather. And she's like, okay. And she hired me. So I got picked up at KHON. And then in the midst of all of that, KHNL, KF5, and KGMB became Hawaii News Now. And KHNL's building was abandoned, and then it became PBS. And then KHNL moved into Hoftailing. And now they're like, you know, this big conglomerate. But I worked at KHON as a GA, General Assignment Reporter, for 1 year. I did nights and weekends. And then Joe McNamara, the president of KHON, is like, you'd be really good on the morning show.
That's what I've been saying.
Like, oh my gosh. And so then he said, okay, let's have you test for it. But in that year, I had gained the experience of being a journalist and going out and writing my stories and reporting on the brush fires and the stabbings and the murders, that I got it. So then Jai Cunningham and I launched Wake Up Today. And then I anchored the morning show for 7 years.
Wow. All these names you're throwing out, I'm just like, oh, these are all the names I heard growing up.
Yep. So it was Jai, Kirk Matthews, Trini Kauaʻi, and me.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's
and Manolo Morales.
Oh yeah,
because he used to go out and eat everywhere.
Yeah,
I don't know, because you're young. You're like in your 20s.
I'm gonna be 30 next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Everybody else thinks I'm still young.
Okay, well, you're still in your 20s, but yeah.
Yeah, got 1 month of my 20s left.
Okay.
But no, I remember seeing all of this growing up because my parents would always watch the news.
Yep.
Like all the different stations. So I know it's funny because I think people on the news are like the original celebrities. Because in Hawaii, we don't have Hollywood. We don't have big movies. So, and before there was social media, there was the news. So I feel like all the people on the news were the original celebrities, you know?
That's true.
So it's like...
Well, it's funny too because when I'd walk around and go to like longs, right? People would be like, hey, you the Miss Hawaiʻi, yeah? And then when I was on the news, they'd be like, hey, you the news lady, yeah?
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, oh, I'm Olena.
Yeah. It's funny because like I feel like I'm experiencing that in the last couple years because I was, oh, you're the student loan guy. You know, you're like, oh yeah, I used to have long hair. Like, yo, you paid off your student loans. But now I'm just like, oh, you're the guy who interviews people. It's like it's always changing. You know, I guess like whatever the most relevant thing that you do. And then some of the OGs, you know, like, oh, you're that person. I like it.
Do you ever say I'm an author?
Nah, because I'm not. That's not really my focus. Like, yeah, I like kind of having like these things where, if you know, you know, like, oh, like. People will see all these different accolades, but they also don't know these other things that you did. Like I was in the Peace Corps, you know? I kind of like having that as like I don't know, kind of like a mysterious thing. I don't know.
That's part of your charm.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I guess it's the same thing as like people don't know that I'm almost 30. You know, people think I'm probably like 23. But it's like, no, I have a lot of life experience, you know? I'm closer to an uncle than I am to a young brother. So I like it. Yeah. But I can see as you get older and you have all these accomplishments and people just start to kind of title you as one thing. It's like, I'm so much more, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably how you feel at sometimes, right?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Like, oh, what do we call you now? Or what are you doing now?
Yeah.
And, you know, I just say, oh, just call me Olena. Or, you know, you don't really have to have a title, I think. And I don't want to pigeonhole myself either. You know, you could say I'm an entrepreneur. You can say I'm a marketing expert. You can say I'm a writer. You know, for a while I was freelance writing for a lot of big magazines like Forbes Travel Guide and High Luxury and Star Advertiser. And people are like, oh, you know, oh, you're a foodie. I'm like, no, I'm a writer. Like, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I guess it depends what people see of you first as well, right? So how would you describe yourself? Like so I'm like, oh, hey, I'm Kamaka. I'm the host of the Hawaiiverse podcast. Like because you wear so many hats.
Yeah.
Right? So what would you say? Like, hi, I'm Olena.
Okay. Hi, I'm Olena.
That's all.
I'm a journalist and I'm a writer and I do marketing. I also do some voice work. You might hear my voice on things. And I'm also a TV personality. Yeah. But it's hard, right? Because it all falls under the house of communication. So a lot of people say like, wow, you do so much stuff. I'm like, oh, it's all related.
Yeah.
So, but the number one thing that makes me happy is I really do enjoy inspiring people. And my close friends will say like, I'm the most uplifting or most joyful, inspiring person that they know. And so for me, that warms my heart.
What about this? This is Olena. She's an inspiration. There you go.
I actually have an interesting story that kind of kept me in check.
Okay.
So in the middle of COVID time, I was at Long's. I went to go pick up something. So I'm wearing my face mask. I get in line. I'm just holding a couple of things I needed, like hand sanitizer or something. And this lady pulls up behind me in line and she puts her cart right on my butt. And I'm like, oh, how's this lady with her cart? You know? And then I move and she moves closer. I move again. She moves even closer. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna look in her cart because it's so close, right? I'm just gonna start staring at her cart and look at what all she's got in there. And then I move again. She moves closer. And then I kind of was like, oh. And so I turned and looked at her. And she looked at me. And she put her hand on me. And she said, "You are an inspiration."
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I was over there having like a small kind diva moment with her cart on my butt.
Right about to take off your earrings, roll up your sleeve. Stop, Ante.
Yeah. And it made me feel bad. And then it made me remember like, hey, you gotta like center yourself and ground yourself and remember like, don't take yourself so seriously. She was trying to get close to me to like say hi.
Okay, but to be fair, she could have gone in a different route.
True.
She could have tapped you on the shoulder or something instead of bumping you a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Maybe take note.
You don't have to hit me with your cart if you want to say hi.
just say hi. It's all right. It's not that difficult. Okay, so I like how we're talking about how sometimes people can misinterpret things or kind of like we have these misconceptions of pageants, of who you are as a person, but there's also a very big misconception that people have about you. And do you want to share that with people?
Sure. So let's see. When I was in high school, my mom's baby sister, so my aunt, got breast cancer, and she passed away quite quickly. And it was pretty devastating for my mom and my family. And then while I was in the news, my grandma had called me to tell me that she got breast cancer too. So she's like, "I just want you to know I have breast cancer." And then my mom also got breast cancer. So she battled it for about 3 years. And then in April of 2018, she passed away on the living room floor of my Kauaʻi home where I was born and raised. And some Jehovah's Witnesses came to the house to check on her after the major floods on Kauaʻi in that spring. And she was on the floor and I had to call the police and da-da-da. So anyway, long story short, 1 month after my mom had died from breast cancer, I was on this high breast cancer detection plan where I would undergo mammogram and MRI and ultrasound testing, screening of my breasts. And they were like, "Oh, there might be something, we need to bring you in." And so we did more tests and it came back negative. There's nothing. But they're like, "Oh, we need to test you for genetics, do some genetics testing to see if you have the gene." So I do not have the main gene, which is known as like the BRCA1 or BRCA2, but I have a RAD50 genetic mutation. And I told myself that after my aunt, my mom, and my grandma all had breast cancer, if I had a genetic mutation, I was going to remove my breasts. So 1 year after my mom died, I had a double mastectomy and I removed my breasts and it actually went flat. I don't have any breasts or any nipples. And then after I was healed 3 months later in the summer, I came out about it and my husband was very encouraging. I documented everything on my YouTube and I shared with people that I was in this super high risk of getting breast cancer in my life. And that I was a 80% chance that I would get breast cancer. And I wanted to reduce it by having a mastectomy. So now I have 90% chance reduced risk of never getting breast cancer, right? Because when you remove the cells in all your breasts, they can't get all of it, but there's 90% chance that you won't ever get breast cancer. So I did not have cancer. It was a preventative surgery, but a lot of people thought I had breast cancer.
Yeah, I think people just assume because you have that. Because I have an auntie who had breast cancer and she had that too. She removed her breast. She's still dealing with it right now. She's so strong. But you just assume because you do that you have breast cancer, right?
Yeah.
So I've personally never heard of anyone until you that did as a preventative thing, which is actually really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just taking the chance, right?
Well, when you take into account the numbers, I'm kind of like a numbers person. I'm very emotional, but then I can be very analytical. So I'm like, okay, I have this high of a risk. Then I have a genetic mutation, which makes it even more high. And I had really large breasts before. You can go on my Instagram and go back. They were really big. And I had never birthed children, which gives me even higher risk. And so if all these factors are telling me that there's an 80% chance I'm going to get breast cancer in my life, how do I reduce the risk? Get rid of them.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm really active. I'm a water baby, surfer, like to do yoga, go hiking. And I didn't want to have another surgery. I'd never broken a bone in my body. I've never been in the hospital. So I said, just take them out, sew me up, and I'll just go flat. And that was really hard because both of my surgeons and my doctor, they were trying to convince me to get implants. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have more surgeries. And so I spent 6 months researching and talking to breast cancer survivors and women who had had mastectomies and women that had had a flap surgery, which is where you take the muscle from your back and put it in your breast, and all these different types of options. You can take the fat from your butt and put it in your breast, and nobody was happy with it. And it all required additional surgeries or additional touch-ups. And I was like, nah, just get them out. So yeah. So it's a major misconception that a lot of people think I had breast cancer, which is a little hard for me because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. That was never my desire for people to think that I had it. Yeah. No. It was completely prophylactic, which means a preventative measure or to prevent the disease. And no matter how many times I say it, people still come up to me and go, are you okay? How's your health? How's your cancer? And I'm like, I never had cancer. So it's a little bit of a catch-22, but at least my message is able to help others.
Yeah, definitely. That I can't imagine how difficult that is, but for you to make the decision to, put your health first before aesthetics or, looks. So, because I feel like we live in a culture that is, or a society that's very, like we base people off their looks, and especially with social media these days, right? It's like you see girls posting pictures of themselves in bikinis all the time, especially living here in Hawaii, right?
Oh no, I did that.
Yeah,
I did that all the way in the year leading up to my surgery. There were tons of booby pictures.
Yeah, but then to have to be able to take that away, like that's a huge part of you.
But when you met me in person, was it like a year ago?
2 years ago.
Did you notice I didn't have any breasts?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think only I saw on your Instagram, and I think I'm sure a lot of people do this. It's like you're looking like, wait. You kind of get confused, and then you try to like dig in a little bit more. You're like, oh wait, did she have breast cancer? I think that's the first thing you think about, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the same process that I went through. But I don't remember it in person. I couldn't tell.
Well, it was funny because I had to MC an event for it was something that had to do with Native Hawaii something, like a OO Awards or something.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I'd gone out in public, and I wore a manuhea dress, and I was all bandaged up. And then when I went out after, I wore this like cocktail dress with nothing. And I saw a bunch of people that I knew, and I was like, hey, and they're like, how are you? And I was like, good. And then I was like, hey, do you notice anything different about me? And they're like, oh, did you lose weight? And I was like, oh yeah, 5 pounds now. And I was like, no. Do you notice anything different about my body? And they're like, no. I was like, I don't have any boobs. And they're like, oh. So for a while, like nobody noticed.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess for you, because you said it was such a huge difference, like it's surprising. Maybe it's the clothes you wear.
Yeah. I found a way to kind of disguise it.
Yeah. So do you ever get self-conscious about it, or are you past that?
So the first year, I would say I was self-conscious. The hardest for me was going to the beach. But there is a law that for any woman that undergoes mastectomy, they have to see it through to the end. So say I change my mind and I want to get implants, I can still go and get breast implants.
Okay.
So I kind of knew in the back of my mind, okay, if I can't handle this, I can always have another surgery and have implants put in. But after that first year, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I embrace it.
Yeah. So confident.
I'm
like,
super.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you first look in the mirror, and I just have scars. I have like a V. It kind of looks like Wonder Woman.
That's cool.
Yeah. And you look in the mirror and you're like, whoa, it's pretty shocking. And my husband and I, we both cried. But then you just get used to it, and like, it's me, and I can run. Nothing's bouncing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you learn, to embrace your new body and your new self. And I'm really happy that I did it.
Nice. Does that affect childbirthing?
No.
So it doesn't, because you won't be able to breastfeed.
Right.
So so that's just the only thing. You'd have to go on a formula or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's nothing.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you get implants? Does that increase the risk again?
Oh, well, they say every 10 years you should have them changed out, right?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know, but yeah.
No, I'm
So
thinking.
yeah. So for most, I think that's kind of the frame of thought. I know not all women
Yeah.
do. I do have friends that have had problems with their implants. But for me, just being I'm kind of a hippie. I know you kind of are too, right?
That's just a misconception because I was in the Peace Corps and I had long hair.
But like, natural.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have more surgeries. I didn't want to be, put on anesthesia and have them open me up. So the process that they use, which is most common, is you have your mastectomy, they open you up, they take out your breast, like all the tissue that they can get, and then they put these expanders in, and then they close you up. And then every month or every couple of weeks, you go to the doctor and they expand it a little more until it gets to the breast size that you want. So about 6 to 8 months or 10 months later, after you keep going in and get the expanders blown up, then you have another surgery, and then they take the expanders out and they put the implants in. So that just seemed really tedious to me. And all of the women that I spoke to that had mastectomy and then had implants put in were not happy with it. There was additional surgeries or problems, or it was uneven, because not everybody gets both done. It'll just be one. And that just didn't sound right for me. And I've met a lot of women that have had the surgery and they're fine. But then again, I've spoken to lots of women where they were like, so yeah.
Well, nothing but respect for you for deciding to go with that route and being so confident and positive and showing so much aloha. I'm sure there's dark days and tough times, but it's cool to hear the behind the scenes, even with all your whole life with the Miss Hawaiʻi, with even just getting on the news. We see the highlights, right? We see the accomplishments. Like, you won Miss Hawaiʻi, but I didn't know that you tried four times. Yeah. And like, even getting on the news, we see her on the news, like, oh, she probably got it so easily. She was Miss Hawaiʻi, look at her. She's like, it was probably given to her. But you had to work, so you had to get rejected so many times just to get to that point, right? So I think it's a beautiful lesson in life.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like, a lot of people will look at someone and think that everything came so easy. But for me, when I say, I came from a single parent home, my mom didn't have money to send me to school. So I did what I needed to do to get money to go to school. And that included, competing in Miss America. And then my career path, I wanted to go into broadcasting. I wanted to be a news anchor. I wanted to become a journalist. And then I stood firm, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So, you just kind of keep doing what it takes to get there. Kind of driven in some way to just
definitely
accomplish whatever it is I set out to achieve. And you're similar too. I feel like you have goals, right?
Yeah, and that's why you're an inspiration to me and many others. Because I see people like you and a lot of the guests that I've had on who have accomplished so many things in their life, but it hasn't been easy. Because even we're not always gonna share the tough times in our lives. I feel like social media and all that is like, we show the best parts, but like books is where we share the hard parts, because it's like it's so hard to just explain our whole life story and all the trials and errors in like these social media clips. And also, it's like, you don't want to bring other people down, right?
Oh yeah.
There's like this, I don't know, unspoken rule to not just like share these tough times with people, because you don't want to like be a Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
But I do love it when every now and then I see somebody being so real and open about the struggles in their lives, because it makes you seem human. It's like, wow, that's first of all very brave of them to share that. And then you don't even realize how many people you're helping, speaking about, something that's going on in your life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I encourage it. I would love to see more failures from people, as much as I see the accomplishments. I guess I would love to see the failures,
the realness,
followed by the accomplishments,
Yep.
Because I think they go hand in hand. Because I don't want to just hear, hey, I failed, I didn't do this, I wasn't able to accomplish this, because then I guess it gets kind of depressing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to each their own. Like for
Mhm.
me, after I decided to leave the news and start my own business doing marketing and social media, I actually had a list of
Mm.
all the jobs that I applied for and didn't get.
Wow.
And so I kind of used that as a catalyst to motivate me to
Mhm.
continue to do more, achieve more, set more goals.
Mhm.
So you can use all the failures to continue to inspire you.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Awesome. Okay, before we get into Instagram questions, I want to talk about another misconception that people have. I feel like your s- your life and even your look is so ambiguous is that people just have so many questions, and you do so much as well. So it's like, what are you? And you're just everything. Like we said, you're an inspiration. But one thing that I want to talk about is your ethnicities, because I had no idea. It was one of the most shocking things to me. Can you tell
It's
us?
kind of funny.
Everybody guess. If go to the visual feed and just guess. I don't mean to, be like judge her or whatever, but
So one thing I'll
it's
give people
interesting.
a hint
Yeah.
about is everyone says, "What year did you graduate from Kamehameha?" And then I say, "I went to Kapa'a."
Yep.
Because I did not go to Kamehameha because I'm not
She's not
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian. Yes.
Yeah,
You
so I'm
look the part.
actually half Chinese, half Russian, Polish, Jewish. And I
Yeah,
actually
it's like
was
that.
curious because I thought maybe there's a chance that I'm something that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked, my dad is actually one of 10 children, and
Mhm.
he was never a part of my life, but I got connected with my cousin. So I asked my cousin, "Hey, have you ever done a DNA test?" And she's like, "I haven't, but my mom has." And her mom is my dad's sister.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay." She goes, "Yeah, I think there might have been Vietnamese in there." And I was like, "Oh, yes, like I might be something else." She sends it to me. It's just straight Chinese.
So
was
you're
like,
like Hapa almost.
I'm Hapa, yeah, half
Yeah.
half.
So Chinese and then
Oh,
there's like
Russian, Polish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom is Jewish from Brooklyn, New
Mhm.
York, and she's a Russian Polish Jew from the Jews that had fled to Russia and Poland.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Such an interesting person, Olena. And can we also talk about how you got your name, Olena?
Oh, yes, sure.
Yeah.
So I was born at a time when the song Pua Olena was a big
Mhm.
hit. And my mom's friend that had taken her to the hospital when I was born, she said, "Oh, thank you for all your help. You can name my daughter." And then he said, "Oh, I want to name her Olena after the song." And
Nice.
so that's how it came to be. So Olena is actually my middle name,
Oh, okay.
as a lot of local people go by their
Mhm.
middle name. And so my maiden name was Reuben.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, being of Jewish descent, wanted to name me Sabra. But Sabra Reuben had like too much R sounding. So she made up a name. So my first name is actually Sabrian.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How many people know that?
Maybe like 3.
No, everybody's gonna know.
Yeah.
Sabrian.
Sabrian. So it looks like
That's really cool.
Sabrina,
Yeah.
but with the A before the M.
So Sabrian, Olena, Reuben.
Yep.
Wow, what an
Yeah.
interesting name.
And so my mom was actually a flight attendant for
Mhm.
United when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And she flew internationally. So back then, when you would fly to like Japan or Australia, she'd be gone for like weeks at a time.
Mhm.
And so my babysitter when I was a baby was a native Hawaiian family, the Akanas.
Mhm.
And they wanted to call me by my Hawaiian name. And
Nice.
so everyone calls me Olena.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I have family on the Big Island related to the Akanas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I gotta go ask my parents about that. But cool. So I feel like I can learn something new in every sentence you say.
Oh.
This is awesome. But I want to get into Instagram questions
Okay.
before we go on to the next part of the podcast. This comes from Iresan, I think. Irehssan. I'm just gonna say Iresan.
Okay.
Where do you shop tops and dresses? Love your style and picks.
So I'm a big bargain shopper. I love Ross.
Nice.
And so I get like 90% of my clothes from Ross. The other will be supplemented by Macy's, Savers, and Goodwill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Almost like thrifting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're a thrifter.
I like to, so obviously with my my shape now. I have to get certain types of blouses and tops. So I have specific things that I look for. And so usually it's not too form-fitting. It's kind of flowy. It's kind of drapey. For a while, I was buying a lot of tops that had polka dots on them. So now I have to like restrain myself from buying polka dots. But off the shoulder, stuff like this.
Yeah, it's nice.
And like
Very
for
nice.
this, I have like a camisole. So I have like an undergarment and it has a
okay.
little bit of a boob. So I like, just gives me a little bit of shape.
And you do that on purpose? Like that's like a thing that you do. What is it called?
Camisole, yeah. So like
Camisole.
if it's something that needs, because if I didn't have anything, it would just be flat, right?
Okay, so the shape of the dress or blouse would look weird.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like t-shirts look really weird because it's just flat. But if I need something that just has a little opihi, I put on my camisole.
Opihi.
And this is from the camisole's from Uniqlo.
Okay.
So
nice.
Girls will know what it is. It's like you just wear it underneath.
Oh no, yeah, I knew what it was. Don't worry. I thought you said something else. I totally get it. Okay, next question comes from Alina, with 2 A's in the middle. Alina. Wait. Hold on. Let me do it. Lena. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Fave day off routine.
So I love the beach. Actually, interesting story. When my mom had me as a baby, she would take me down to Kalihiwai Bay and leave me in a crib, and she would swim in the bay back and forth for like hour plus. So I grew up as the baby on the beach.
Wow.
And people will tell you, like the paws from Kalihiwai Bay, they will tell you, like, oh yeah, Olena, she was the baby on the beach. And when we went to scatter my mom's ashes, people came out and said hi.
That's so cool.
So my favorite day is going down to the beach and spending the whole day out there. I love being in the water. I love snorkeling. I love surfing. I love swimming, just being connected. And no matter where I go in the world, if I'm by the ocean or by a beach, I have to touch the water.
Nice. People will probably hate this, but there could be some times where I go to the beach and I don't go in the water. Depends, but only if it's not hot. If it's not hot, I can get by with just like chilling there.
Okay.
Like in Hilo, when I was just there during the ho'olaule, we went to Keaukaha, and it was a pretty cloudy day. So I went there, I took a nap. My sister-in-law and girlfriend, niece, they all went in the water, but I took a nap. But when I woke up, I was just like so cozy, and I was thinking, it's kind of gloomy and cold, and Keaukaha water's freezing.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna, just enjoy my rest, and let's go home, and I'll take a shower.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
Because I gotta jump in the water.
Yeah, and I feel almost shame saying that, because like, how can you go to the beach and not go in the water? I feel like it's as bad as going to the beach in shoes.
But my husband is you.
Okay.
My husband is like that because he gets cold and
Because I like to go to the beach. I mean, because first of all, I rather just surf. If I'm going to the beach, I want to be doing something. I want to do something active. But I can't go in the water unless I'm like, I work up a sweat or something. I got to stand in the sun or like do some sort of movement so I feel really hot and I can cool off. That's how I am.
I feel like my purpose when I go to the beach is to be in that water.
Even if it's cold?
Yeah. Yeah. My husband calls me a polar bear.
Maybe that's what it is. Your skin is different than ours. All right. Next question comes from the lovely Lens. This person wants to know, what's your funniest travel story?
I feel like I should have a lot of those. One of them that comes to mind is my husband has Hanai family in Waipio Valley or in Honoka. And so we actually have a house that we can stay in. We haven't gone in years, but another couple went with us and I kind of planned the trip and we were totally disconnected because back then there was like no cell service, nothing. And we spent the weekend there. It was magical and wonderful. And then everyone was reliant on me in terms of like when to go back to the airport to fly home to Honolulu. And I was like, okay, well, we got to leave at this time and because our flight's at this time. So long story short, we're panicking. We're going to be late, blah, blah, blah. We get there. We go to check in and we can't because we missed our flight. And I had it totally wrong when our departure was. and I just messed it all up. But then it was okay. They let us jump on the next flight. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was so weird. It was like, for some reason I had in my mind what time we were leaving, and it was like completely wrong.
It was even the wrong day.
It was the right day, but just, yeah. And so I feel like that was funny, but then it wasn't. But just a major mess up because it was 4 of us too. And
it's
then
funny after the fact.
Yeah.
I feel like in the moment, you're like, oh, can't believe I missed this. But later on, you can laugh at it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of reminders, emails, calendar updates that help us not miss our flights these days. So that's pretty awesome.
That was crazy.
The next question comes from the Quinn. This person wants to know, what is your favorite flower?
Ooh, well, the first one that popped into my mind was pikake. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, pakalana.
Both good ones.
But yeah, just the really fragrant, beautiful ones. I really do love pikake though, just how delicate and the lovely jasmine fragrance. One interesting thing though to take note of is if you do wear a pikake lei and say you have like a jacket or something, and then you put the jacket in the closet, if you take it out a month later, it super stink.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it smells good. It stinks.
Yeah, the oils or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I've been a little obsessed with the native Hawaiian fern that smells like maile. Are you familiar?
I know there are some that look like maile, but it just smells like maile. Huh.
Yeah, so I wrote an article about a guy. It's going to be confusing. His name is Hanalei, but he lives on Maui. Okay.
And he doesn't make lace.
He does not make lace. And so I wrote an article about him, and he was telling me about all the different types of ferns and how he goes and he harvests them and he makes tinctures and like herbal remedies with them. And he does like the full on native Hawaiian protocol, like chanting and praying and all that kind of stuff. And then when he was telling me about how the ferns have come to a point in their life where they've reached homeostasis, where cellularly they are perfect, I was just fascinated by it. And so I was intrigued by the fact that he was saying that there's a certain kind of fern that smells just like maile. And so everywhere I go, when I see ferns, if it's Costco, Royal Hawaiian Center, I pick part of the fern and I smell it.
If you see Olena smelling random things, that's what she's doing.
Yep.
That's a cool story. I gotta look out for that. You don't know what it's called?
Oh, I forget. Yeah.
We'll look it up.
Yeah.
What fern smells like?
Apparently, it's the fern outside of the Costco in Kahului.
Okay, so I gotta go to Maui.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's book a trip, guys. Okay, next question comes from Tom Sanger 77. How is the Hawaii life?
Oh, well, right now it's been pretty rainy.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful. I've only lived in Hawaii my whole life. I've traveled all over the world, but it will always be my home. And there's just something about it that when I'm gone and I come back and you step out of the baggage claim and that warm
I was just thinking that
air caresses your body.
Yes.
And you're home, right? In my life, I've traveled to Singapore, Australia, Thailand, Japan, Canada, Paris, like just all over the world, right? And I feel like there's nothing quite like Hawaii. Everything about it. You have cosmopolitan downtown. You have historic Ko'olau Mountains. The beaches, the sunsets.
The ocean breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I love when I come back. Is as soon as those sliding doors open, you feel the warm ocean air.
And back in the day when they would have the lay greeters and it would smell of tuberose and plumeria, then that was even better. But
we
now
gotta bring that back.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. All right. Well, mahalo everyone for the Instagram questions. Make sure you leave some for the next guest, and maybe your question will make it on the podcast. All right. So we're coming to the back end of the podcast, and I want to dive into a little bit more Hawaii things, because that's the place we love. That's the place we grow up and we live. And it's Mahina o Aloha Hawaii. It's Hawaiian Language Month as well. So I want to know if you're in touch with the Hawaiian culture more than your own cultures because of you live here.
Absolutely.
But you don't have Hawaiian blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say a lot of times when I make decisions about my life, I do try to feel from my na'au.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everything has a purpose. And I do feel that, obviously we're here to share whatever it is that we're going to leave, whatever our legacy is. And so for me, I really hope that it is that openness, that joyfulness, that inspiring
Mm-hmm.
that I can leave with people. And so ultimately, I think the Hawaiian culture is my life. I feel like that's what I try to perpetuate in everything that I do.
Mm. Do you ever feel insecure about not being Hawaiian?
No,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been emceeing like Aloha festivals
Mm-hmm.
for over a decade now. I
Yeah.
used to MC with Jeff Apaka, who is
Mhm.
passed, but now I MC it with Kimo Kaho'ano.
Legend.
Yeah. And so, I feel like I'm completely immersed
Mhm.
and completely a part of it and very honored to be. And I'm not just born and raised, I'm from the
Mhm.
island.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think being able to talk with more people here on the podcast, learning about what it means to be Hawaiian and uh, the misconceptions of being Hawaiian as well. I think there's still a lot of misconceptions, and us as locals here, we're trying to figure out what it even means to be Hawaiian these
Mm-hmm.
days. And you hear all these explanations and definitions from different people. You have the more radical people, you have the more understanding people, and even people who are more scholarly who say like, well, in this newspaper, in these old videos, or my kupuna used to say this and that. Like Hawaiian is an ethnicity. Hawaiian is it's a nationality. There's all these different
Mm-hmm.
things that people would use to explain what Hawaiian is. I think what I'm beginning to see is like it's both. It's almost it's I think the easiest way to explain it is like what Kaikena Scanlon said on one of the podcasts is like there's Kanaka Maoli, which is like the natives of the land,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's Hawaiians who were born and raised here, who don't necessarily you don't need to have the blood, but if you were born here, you live here, this is your home, you are Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the right answer, to be honest. Like what I I don't know if I actually know what is right or wrong, but I think the easiest way to look at it as if you live in the Hawaiian ways, you're respectful, you live like a Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to say you're Hawaiian, but explain like you don't have blood, to me, I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think as
Yeah.
long as you're honest
Yeah.
and not necessarily honest with others, but at least honest with yourself
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and being open. I mean,
Yeah.
you asked me, prior to the interview, like, oh, is there anything you don't want to talk about? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm an open book.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
And
that.
so I feel like, as long as you are open and honest and able to accept
Mm-hmm.
that openness from others as well, I think what makes it challenging are those that aren't open
Mm-hmm.
and they only see things one way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Granted, you can have that option that this is your conviction, this is what you believe in, and you can share that with others, but at least take a moment to listen and be open to what others have to say.
Yeah, and I think you have to come to terms with the fact that you could be wrong.
Yeah.
Everything we talk about on this podcast, we could just be totally wrong, but that's okay because, we don't have all the answers. That's the point of having conversations is to hear what other
Mhm.
people think and hear their thoughts about these topics.
Yeah.
So I think the people who are just very headstrong and just like stuck in their ways, like, no, this is how it is. This is what this person is.
Mhm.
It's hard to get through to that person. But yeah, I think just the being open-minded and being able to talk about these things with an open mind is like that's all we ask for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you actually had a genetics test, like a DNA test?
My sister did.
Okay.
I think we're like Hawaiian, Portuguese, Korean.
What did it say for the Hawaiian part?
I think it says Austronesian
Oh.
or I don't know. I don't remember. Polynesian, Pacific Islander,
Uh-huh,
something like
uh-huh.
that. I don't. I think some are a little bit more specific
Right. And
than
it's always
others.
changing.
Yeah, and it's
And
always
hers is
changing. Yeah.
different than yours.
Yeah, exactly. Because I could get
Yeah.
something else, but yeah, I never done one. I just felt like she did hers, and we look kind of alike, and that's my sister. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go off that. Yeah.
I'm a little weary
Hmm.
because I'm curious as to what they're doing with our DNA.
Yeah.
And not now. I think it's in the future.
Hmm.
You know,
Like making people.
I don't know.
cloning
And I
us.
think that's the question, is they're taking people's DNA, not necessarily like harvesting it, but
Yeah.
you know, we don't know what they're doing with
That's
it.
true. Yeah. Even with our data on phones, laptops,
Mhm.
I honestly have come to a point where I don't care because I feel like they already have everything on us. So when people are like a little afraid to like put in their information or whatever, I'm like, if they want something, they already got it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just at a point where I'm a little jaded. It's like,
Oh.
whatever, they got everything on me.
Someone's like, I don't want to give them my credit card number.
Yeah.
You're like, Mary, they've got your credit
Yeah,
card number.
exactly. So, I mean, to each their own, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's already past the point of no return. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Because it's Hawaiian Language Month and we want to perpetuate the Hawaiian language. Was there ever a point in your life where you felt like you wanted to learn Hawaiian, or you felt like a kuleana, like maybe I should learn Hawaiian?
Yeah. So I actually
Yeah.
studied it in college.
Oh, super cool.
I studied Japanese first, and then I studied Olelo Hawai'i.
Mhm.
But I guarantee lost pretty much
If
everything.
you don't
'cause-
use it, you lose it.
yeah. And the same goes for Japanese
Mhm.
too. And
Yes,
even
any
though I go to
language.
Japan all the
Mhm.
time, it's harder and harder to ask for
Yeah.
anything. But it was interesting because growing up, it was almost like predicting the future.
Mhm.
I auditioned and I became the May Day MC in
Mhm.
elementary school.
Wow.
And so the May Day queen that first year when I got it was Kaliko Kalehua o Paneava Hamyoung. And so the test was who could say her name. And so, you know, it's kind of like it's just a part of, because some people, they have a really hard time, right, pronouncing. And it's just a part of like my ability to, you know, with diction and whatnot,
Mhm.
to be able to say and speak.
Mhm.
But I by no means am able to have a conversation at
Mhm.
all. But yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things that of course it's lost, but it's hard and intimidating to learn it
Hmm.
as adults, but also yes, we have a lot of resources like Duolingo, there's a lot of things online, but the community of people that, or the percentage of people that speak it, it's so low that it's not like going to Mexico and you can speak Spanish with anyone, you live over there, you can pick it up.
Hmm.
If you live in Hawaii, it's still rare to hear somebody speak Hawaiian unless you really go out and find like a community, a class, or some kumus to speak it. It's still very difficult to speak Hawaiian.
I went to this store at Windward Mall upstairs. It's like some
Mhm.
native Hawaiian store.
Oh yeah.
And
Noel Designs, is that?
I think so.
Yeah.
And there was a family speaking to each other in
Mhm.
Hawaiian. And it was so cool to hear, just like out in public.
Mhm.
But I do feel like we are in the midst of a renaissance.
Yes.
And it is emerging.
Mhm.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm. We just need more numbers. That's all.
Yeah.
And I think it just takes time.
Hmm.
You know, we're thinking like, okay, yes, we can speak it in public now. We can teach it in schools, but it's still so early.
Yeah.
Less than 50 years since
Hmm.
it became an official language again in Hawaii. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see where it goes in the next 5-10
Mhm.
years, because even from my time in Hawaiian immersion school until now, there's been a huge shift and huge growth in
Mhm.
numbers and just people learning it and people interested in it. It's like a
Yeah.
cool thing now.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see all these events and social media posts. We have a month about it now.
Yep.
I think it's really cool to see the progress, where it's going, and I'm excited to see where it's gonna go. I don't feel like people need to have that pressure, like I need to learn Hawaiian. I think if you feel like that's what you want to do, it's in your heart,
Mhm.
then yeah, definitely do it. I mean, just have good intentions.
Mm.
But I think it can be a little like disheartening or something when you see other people are doing doing it, and you're like, oh, should I be doing that as well? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I know,
Like almost peer
yeah,
pressure.
exactly. It's almost like this societal pressure, like
Yeah.
everyone's doing it, especially like my
Oh, like
generation.
pickleball.
Exactly, like pickleball. Yes.
But that is legit fun.
Yeah, yes. I would think it's a little bit more fun than learning a language, unless you're just super into languages.
Yeah. Wait, I kind of feel like you're inspiring me to be a bit more invested, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I would
because
hope I
it's
inspire
something I
you.
dabble in and I can, and then I lost it. And so, I feel like, it's something that as if there's a takeaway from today,
Mhm.
maybe it'll inspire me to do more.
Yeah, so I'm happy to hear that, but I also want to make clear, like, it's it's no one's fault that you can't speak Hawaiian. It's not your fault you can't speak Hawaiian. This is just the world we were born into. It
Hmm.
was we came into a time where Hawaiian wasn't a thing. So to say like, hey, everybody needs to speak Hawaiian that's not fair.
Yeah.
Because you're not even Hawaiian. Maybe some people are Japanese and they don't speak Japanese.
Yeah.
It's a weird time we're in, and I would love to see everyone be able to speak Hawaiian and hears Hawaiian all the time. And you go to grocery stores or movie theaters and everything's in Hawaiian. I feel like we're so far from that, but we're on the right track. And,
Didn't they convert Moana to?
Yeah, Moana. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a Hawaiian language version, which is super cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so small steps.
Yep, and
Small,
Disney
big
is
steps.
huge.
Yes,
So
exactly. So we're on the way. I think we just gotta cut ourselves a little bit more slack,
yeah.
but not too much. Don't get complacent. Just keep moving forward. But yeah,
Just wake up in the morning and say, what would Kamaka do?
what would Kamaka say? I would say aloha kakayaka. Good morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I guess I would want people, that I encourage people to do, and I would challenge people to do, start with this month and then continue it on, is just use small little Hawaiian words.
Mhm.
Instead of saying good morning, say aloha kakayaka.
Mhm.
Instead of saying thank you, say mahalo. Just
Is
start
it
with a
okay
simple
though
aloha.
to say these words to like non-Hawaiian people?
Yeah,
Like,
I
do
think
you
so.
think that's appropriate?
I mean, yes, but I would say it's weird because, like, for someone like you, I would say aloha.
Mhm.
If I'm sending an email to, actually no, I use aloha for every email introduction now. But for like a friend, I guess that's visiting, and I'm in California, I guess I wouldn't say aloha.
Mm.
But I guess it's wherever you are. But you're here in Hawaii. Let's talk specifically here in Hawaii. That's the greeting. When
Okay.
I'm in Spain, I'd say hola or whatever the buenos dias, whatever the greeting is.
Yeah.
Because I think it's cool to be able to live somewhere and speak the language.
Mhm. Mhm.
You go to France, you say you speak French.
So I used to work at Alan Wong's. I don't know if you heard of that. Okay.
Alan Wong. Yeah.
A lot of people remember me from working at Alan Wong's. And even when I was Miss Hawaiʻi, I was waiting tables there. But we had a big group of Japanese that would come to dine in because he was very popular. He even had Alan Wong's in Tokyo at Disney Sea.
I didn't know that.
And so they would come in and they would teach us like a little bit here and there of Japanese that we could say to the guests. But then they never wanted to say Japanese to us because when they came to Hawaii, they wanted to speak English. And so it was kind of interesting because we would try to speak Japanese to them because we knew that they were Japanese, but then they would speak English to us because they were trying to speak English to us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of interesting to see, but out of respect, of course, when you go and visit somewhere, if you want to integrate, then that's a really good way to do so.
Yeah, I definitely had experiences like that. Like when I was in Madagascar and I'm trying to speak Malagasy, speak their language, but maybe some people, they're trying to speak English to learn English, right? So you're almost in this weird dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what language do I choose?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's a good problem to have. Okay, so I wanna go into your personal life a little bit more. Not personal life, but like career a little bit more, because like I said in the beginning, you wear a lot of hats and you have a PR company. You're very active on social media. You post these really insightful reels about how to grow your social media. What advice would you have for someone who's trying to start on social media, but like business wise, try to get more followers or get more engagement on their reels?
Okay.
Share with us all the secrets.
Yeah, so obviously reels are, what Instagram is pushing right now. And so if you are trying to grow, I would recommend trying to post at least 2 reels a day. Use trending audio and find your hook. And so for some people, they don't know what a hook means. It's something that's going to catch the viewer's attention. How many seconds do you think you have to catch someone's attention?
3.
Yep, 3 seconds
nice.
before you scroll away, right? Sometimes it might even be like 2 because you're not going to wait. And so if you can really amplify the amount of posts that you're doing with reels, that will help you reach more people. And, I always tell people that the kind of content that you want to post should really reflect who you are. Don't try to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
If you are selling juice, don't take pictures of sexy bikini models at the beach. You're selling juice, like you should have families drinking juice and holding the can of juice and pouring the juice.
What if it's a sexy bikini model holding the juice though? That could get a lot of likes.
That could be a different demographic. But yeah, just try to embrace what it is that you do and what makes you unique and roll with that. And so for me, I feel like my Instagram is entertaining and educational. And so I try to put out content that either entertains someone, it's either inspirational or, they want to take the time to read it or not, or it's entertaining where they're like, oh, okay, that's catchy or that's cool. And so that's the kind of thing that I do. So you might want to check what your pillars of marketing are. Is it to inspire? Is it to entertain? Is it educational? Are you trying to sell something? And you want to kind of fine tune exactly what that is.
Nice. Mahalo for that. Do you ever get self-conscious about what you're posting or the like you post something and maybe it's not as well received as you thought, or like you don't get a lot of likes? Does that ever get to you?
I don't care about likes anymore. That's the one thing that I try to tell people. Don't care about the likes. Don't care about the number of followers, because if you're going to break it down, it really doesn't matter. What people talk about in terms of return on investment or metrics is the reach of your post, how many people it reached, because it could have 2,000 people could have saw it, but then maybe only 200 people liked it. So it doesn't really matter how many people actually liked it.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Sometimes I'm a really bad liker on Instagram. Sometimes I just watch things and I was like, that was cool. And then I go, I don't really scroll too much. I'm like a fake social media person where I post a lot, but I don't really
You're not really
I'm
on
not
it.
on it.
Yeah. Me too, kind of.
Yeah.
I feel obligated to post Trivia Tuesdays because I know people want it, but I'm not really on every day.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes I'm just I should like some things. So especially if it's a friend or whatever, because I feel like I'm so bad at giving likes, but I'm everybody like my post. It's it's so hypocritical.
Yeah. Overall, I just took that whole like and followers and whatever, threw it out the window and don't really care. I do curate my content. I don't post that often. But in terms of what kind of content I am posting, I do hope that it's somewhat inspiring or somewhat educational. I do have to say, since we're talking about likes, that everybody is obsessed with liking things. You can like text messages now.
Yeah.
You can like DMs. And one thing that's really frustrating for me is if I were to send someone a message and then they just liked it. They don't reply.
It's the new K.
Yeah.
K
But you know what K means, right?
Yeah.
And so another thing that's really interesting is if you post and you tag someone in your story and then they share it and then are you supposed to share it again? Oh, but then they like it. It's just
the double share.
Too much. You don't have to like everything and you don't have to reality is not on your phone. Reality is right here, right now.
Yeah.
And so for me, I like to be present in the moment and just enjoy life. I'm not super obsessed with social media.
So what do you do when, how do you end a conversation or a text, or if somebody reshares it, do you have to like it? Can you just open it and don't respond?
I don't, because I feel like it's kind of a waste of time for me to go and the thing that they shared.
Just reshared.
Yeah. Because then it sends them a notification and then they think they have a message and then they open it up and they go, oh, she liked it. Because that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, they sent me a message. Oh, they liked it.
Yeah, that's all. And sometimes you're like, oh, are they gonna respond, or is it just a like?
Yeah. And then at the same time too, like someone else could argue that that's all a part of engagement,
Mhm.
you know? So you post, you tag, they like it, you share it, they like that you shared it.
Mhm.
But for me, I'm just like, who's got time for this?
Yeah.
And I honestly manage about a dozen businesses on social media.
Wow.
So I'm constantly overseeing and managing and liking and sharing their stuff. So when it comes to me
Mhm.
posting something and then someone asking me a question and then me responding and then them liking my response, it's just too much.
Yes. I
So
totally understand that.
yeah.
Do you have blue light glasses?
No, but I did just get like real
Oh,
glasses
okay.
because my vision is actually pretty bad.
My eyes get so sore from looking at the
Yeah.
screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Even,
it's
like,
weird
right
when I
now.
put on glasses. I'm like, oh my gosh, like everyone has a filter.
Yep.
So yeah. But I definitely am not on social media as much as everyone thinks I am. And the only reason why I still have it is I kind of see it as like a bulletin update of what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I'll try to post stuff that hopefully inspires them.
Yeah. It's also a business.
Yeah.
Great. I
Yeah.
mean, especially if you're monetized,
Mm-hmm.
so you can make money off of it.
True.
So take advantage of that.
Although I did notice when I monetized my Instagram like 2 or 3 years ago that my views went down.
Do you think they do that on purpose?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So they don't want to pay you? The
Well,
algorithm is so weird sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah. We could have a video that just gets like 3,000 likes, and then we can get a video that has 100 likes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird.
Yeah. It's almost as if you should post less frequently.
Mhm. Yeah. Or just go with us with the shotgun approach. Just hopefully something catches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the other thought too.
Yeah, but that's a lot more work.
Yes.
But both I guess have similar results. But I guess it's hard. Who can really say unless you're actually tracking everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. What is the most important lesson you learned in your career?
I would say in terms of my career, and actually I think just life in general, to have determination
Mhm.
and to work hard. And if you have a goal and a dream, just focus on that dream and continue to work as hard as you can to achieve it.
Mhm.
And so for me, you know, I wanted to be Miss Hawaiʻi. I worked hard to get there. I wanted to become a news anchor. I worked hard to get there. You know, it's like you set these new goals and you just work as hard as you can to achieve them.
Do you write them down, or
Mhm.
what is your?
I don't make like vision boards or anything, but I'm a big list writer. If it's a to-do list or if it's a goal list, I think the process of writing something with a pen and paper is really important. And it's about manifesting that, you know, to make it a reality.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta write it down.
Yes.
Just I think it's good because you know there's visualizing,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also like seeing it, and you see the visual. You see, I have to do this. You know,
Yep.
take this to the post office. Pick up an apple from the grocery store. Like,
yeah.
when you see it, it's just. I guess there has to be something psychological about it, right? Where it's like you see it and you feel like you have to do it, and then the pleasure of being able to check it off, right?
Or cross it off.
Whatever you do.
Although I do have to admit, I think this new generation, they don't write anything down.
So everything's on iPads and iPhones and this. Yeah, I guess.
Or they don't take notes either.
Yeah, I guess I'm lucky because I had half and half. I had the beginning half of my life without social media, without phones, and then I had the second half with. So I think I just choose whatever I like the best and incorporate them both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm old school though. I love writing things down.
Me too.
Yeah, it's the best.
I have a planner that I write my schedule.
Nice. I like post-it notes.
Oh,
yeah.
Me too.
It's wasteful. I mean, it's a tiny piece of paper, but I just really enjoy it.
Where do you put them?
Just in my house, wherever, on my laptop, refrigerator, whatever. Take it with me to the grocery store, stuff like that. I like it. Okay, after all the things that you've done and you're still gonna accomplish, as of right now, what are you most proud of?
Right now, I am most proud of having that double mastectomy. I think, a lot of people use the word brave. Like even that morning at the hospital, the nurse that was prepping me, when I was explaining to her the circumstances, she was saying, like, you are so brave for doing this. You're making the right decision. And I didn't really feel like I was brave. I felt like I was doing what I needed to do to save my life. And so I think overcoming something like that, something so tragic as losing my mom, and then realizing that I was at a very high risk and taking that preventative measure, it takes a strong person. I don't know if it's so much brave, but I think the strength and the determination is what I'm proud of.
Yeah, you seem like somebody who's going to do what it takes to achieve your goal. And you've proven it time and time again. So I totally agree with that.
I mean, life would be a lot different if I didn't do it. I'd still be going to the doctor every 6 months and getting checked and being scared.
Yeah, you'd be living like you always have to look over your shoulder, right?
And I've had friends that have passed away from breast cancer and cancer. And I have a friend that's actually going through cancer right now. And there's just this relief that I feel, I'm not out of the woods. There are other types of cancers I could get, but at least I am living my life as much as I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. My senior project in high school was misconceptions of breast cancer for men. That's what I did it because my auntie was going through breast cancer at that time, so I thought I tried to like find a cool angle to do it. So I think almost every single person has been affected by cancer in some way, whether that's personally, know a friend, an auntie, uncle, parents, whatever it is. So it just sucks. But okay, I have this hot take question before we come to the end of the podcast. Do you think there's a cure for cancer?
Ooh, that's hard because what cancer is, right? So like your body is made up of cells, right? And your cells die. And what cancer is when the cell doesn't die and it replicates itself. So how do you stop it? You kill it, right? I'm just going to be my normal optimistic self and say yes, that I do hope that there is a cure for cancer.
No, but do you think there is a cure for cancer that they're just not telling us because they just want to keep making money?
Oh.
I'm going straight conspiracy theory.
Oh, okay. I would hope not. No, I don't think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that people have been dying from cancer forever. It's just we didn't know that what they were dying from, right? You would attribute it to other things, other factors. So I just think it's a part of the human condition.
Yeah. So you think they're still trying to find a cure? There could be a cure one day?
I do. That's deep, man.
No, I mean, I see deceased people talking about all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, I wonder if it is. I mean, there's just a lot of sketchy stuff going on. And like, there's so much money that is going into all this stuff. It's like, I wonder if I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, I don't believe it or don't believe it. I like to question it. Like,
well, what do you think? What do you think is the greatest invention of mankind?
Love. I'm just joking. Invention, like actual, like electricity, like
it can be anything.
I think the greatest invention. I mean, electricity gotta be up there.
But some could say that that's not an invention because you can harness electricity from like lightning.
Okay. Invention.
Like some people have said like the cell phone or microwave or
like
computer
an airplane or something.
I'll tell you mine.
Okay, yeah. Can you tell me yours and I'll think of mine.
I think it's medicine because it's helping us live longer.
Yeah. The mortality rate's totally different than it was.
Dying in your 30s compared to dying in your 80s, 90s, and being centenarians. So.
Yeah, I think an easy way to back that up is just look at developing countries. Look at somewhere like, for example, Madagascar. The mortality rate over there is like 50 years old or whatever it is, something so young. It's crazy, and that's because they don't have access to healthcare,
right?
Like we do in a developed nation.
Antibiotics are incredible.
Yeah,
saved so many lives.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going on to a strange topic.
No, I think this is great. I think I love talking about everything. But That's a good invention because it does save a lot of
Yeah.
lives.
And, you know, some people have said the cell phone
Yeah.
because it's changed lives. But then the other argument to that would be it's ruining lives.
Oh yeah, see, it's always a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
I mean, same. It could be said with medicine too, right?
Mhm.
All the side effects, whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Then there's like the whole East versus Western medicine.
Right.
I would say the greatest invention is probably, I don't know, Jordan. What do you think it is? I feel like he can help us with an answer. The nail.
Oh,
I mean, that is pretty good.
to build things.
Yeah, my first thought is I want to go to like social media, something like technology,
Mm-hmm.
computer.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'm going to try to keep it more like rugged. Duct tape.
Duct tape.
Tape.
Okay.
I think duct tape fixes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a easy invention. That's very useful. I think almost every family has duct tape in their house.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty practical.
Okay.
Duct tape. Yeah. That's just me trying to give a lame answer because I don't want to say social media. All right. So what are your future goals? What do you plan to do in the next 5 to 10 years? What does your legacy look like?
Okay. Well, I've dedicated the past year of my life to helping the Miss Hawaiʻi organization. Because I'm approaching my 20th anniversary from being Miss Hawaiʻi, there's been kind of a changing of the guard in terms of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to rebuild the organization. So I was just recently elected board president.
Congratulations.
So that's where I'm headed in terms of it's all volunteer. Back to my Miss Hawaiʻi roots of not getting paid for anything. But I have been focusing a lot on that, you know, getting the pageant on TV, making sure it's successful, providing the highest amount of scholarships for the girls, great prizes for the girls, mentoring the winner. So I have been investing a lot of time in that. And then in terms of career, you know, I'm kind of maxed out on clients. Everybody is great. You know, I work with really great people and I help promote their businesses and their companies and keep their families fed and housed. And so that brings me a lot of gratification. If I were to pursue something more, maybe continue more with my food and travel writing, because of my experience with health. I've been doing a lot of wellness writing too, which has been nice, but you know, nothing like travel. So yeah, just kind of expand more on my writing as a journalist and continuing to give back to the Miss Hawaiʻi organization.
Awesome. I'm gonna keep following, and obviously you're gonna keep gaining more and more fans the longer you do it. So yeah, you got a fan in me. Yeah. Before we go to the last 5 questions, I want to know, what is your life hack?
My life hack. So every morning I wake up and I remind myself or tell myself, what am I grateful for? And so even if I wake up and I feel horrible, like say I went drinking the night before and I feel terrible, then I'm grateful that I'm alive, right? That's what a lot of people say. But if you can take that one moment every day that you wake up and remind yourself, okay, this is my intention today, this is what I'm grateful for, then you'll start the day off right.
I think that has a lot to do with just being positive and finding the silver lining, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I feel terrible, but I got some food that I'm about to eat later today, and that sounds really good.
Yep.
So there's always, I guess, what is it, like the sunshine after the storm? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we got our last 5 top favorite 5. I'm still trying to workshop the name of this. Top 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
That's just what I'm gonna call it. Favorite thing to eat?
Chocolate.
Ooh, what kind?
Oh, well, maybe I'll take that back. Gummy candy.
Oh, okay. What kind?
Sour Patch Kids, gummy worms.
Lihimui, lemon peel on top? No, just regular.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, but sometimes when it's got the lihimui and the lemon peel, it's a little bit too much. Like when you eat a whole bag, then you're like, okay, that was a lot, and you kind of get upset stomach. But I can eat a whole bag of regular gummy bears, no problem.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, favorite Instagram to follow?
Ooh, that's a little tough. Who do I... There isn't anybody that I like habitually like check every day. Ooh, I'm kind of blanking.
Maybe just some ones that you love.
Well, I was thinking Oprah, and then I was
Mhm.
thinking Michelle Obama. And then I feel like, there should be someone that's a little bit more inspirational. James Mane, comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
Comedian
always
James.
makes me
Yeah.
laugh. Jose Dynamite, he always makes
Mhm.
me laugh.
Awesome. Go check him out.
Local comedians.
Yeah. I met James once or twice. He's a tall guy.
Yes, he is.
Big guy. Yeah. Okay. Favorite restaurant?
Ooh, my favorite restaurant of all time was Kanzaman. It was a Moroccan Lebanese restaurant
They
that
don't
was
have it
on
anymore?
Nuuanu. It
Oh,
closed.
what about a one that's open that we can try?
One right now, I would say MW. Solid
MW.
for lunch,
What is
happy
that?
hour, and dinner. So they're actually a couple that started at Alan Wong's. Michelle is the M and Wade is the W.
Okay.
And they're married to each other. And when I was at Alan Wong's, Michelle was doing salads and Wade was like a sous chef.
Wow.
And they ended up falling in love, and she is now a James Beard nominated pastry chef. She's
That's
known
awesome.
around the world for her desserts, and Wade is at the helm in the kitchen at MW restaurant.
Where's this place?
It's across the street from the Blaisdell.
Oh, okay.
So like
Not too
kitty
far.
corner to Jack in a Box and above Velocity.
Okay.
Yeah, the cars.
Oh, so it's above that place.
Actually, yeah, above.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Is that where inspiration is?
No,
I
so
thinking of a
inspiration is more Pi'ikoi,
Okay.
and then this is Ward.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so more towards downtown.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right
I'll
across
look
from
it
the
up.
Blaisdell.
Okay, right
Yeah,
across.
so across from
I'll
the
look it up.
Blaisdell, Eva is Hawaiian Electric,
Mhm.
and then there's MW.
Well, I remember the Jack in a Box right at the corner.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
right there.
thinking. Okay, cool. All right, favorite movie?
When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, that's a classic
Yeah,
one.
that's a classic.
I could see that.
The dynamic. There are just so many scenes from it. It's always been my favorite movie of all time. I'm a big rom-com lover. Contrary to that, I also love documentaries. But yeah, I always go back to When Harry Met Sally as being my all-time favorite movie.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite TV show that you watch now?
Ooh, Seinfeld, Grey's Anatomy. I watch a lot of TV. That's kind of my guilty pleasure.
Everyone needs their release.
Yeah. And then sometimes I watch reality shows like The Circle and Too Hot to Handle just to have something that's like nonsense on.
Yeah.
Something that you're not thinking.
I could totally see you on a reality show. Like, remember The Real World?
Yep.
Or,
So I actually auditioned for that back in the day.
I
But
had a feeling.
I was all like kind of like a raver girl that was all love. And they don't want someone that's all love. They want drama, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I didn't get it, but yeah.
Dang. Or like, that's why you like Too Hot to Handle, all those like
Yeah.
TV shows. You ever watch The Challenge? It's from The Real World.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
The Road Rules.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've
that's
watched
one of my
that.
favorite shows. I still watch it. It's in like the 40th season already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, love Survivor.
Oh,
I love Survivor so much.
I've only seen like random episodes. I never watch it through, but
Oh.
I like that show. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I've seen seasons like 1 through 30, like Die Hard.
Do you think you could be on top of it?
So I don't know if you can see, but like I get bug bites and they scar me. So I don't know if I could do with the bugs. Because you know how they're sleeping out in the sand. But I sometimes try to tell myself that I could be on Survivor.
You're determined enough to do it.
But the bug situation, when I see the
tough.
bites and everything, I'm like, ooh, I probably would wave the white flag.
My leg's getting itchy just thinking about it. Yeah. The Amazing Race is the one show that I want to go on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We grew
That
up
one
watching
never
it.
really like caught my attention. Like I tried to watch it and then I'm like, eh.
Yeah, I just like the competition where you get to travel around the world doing all kinds of things and then you end up winning and beating other people.
Yeah. Who would you do it with?
Probably my brother or a friend.
Okay.
Yeah. So whoever's down to audition with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in the next year. We'll see.
Ooh.
Sneak peek.
Are you hinting at
No,
something?
No. I wish. I would love to go on. That's the one show I would love to go on. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have for today.
Oh, it's just getting comfortable.
Yeah. You just busted out your sweater. Well, I mean, sure. Let's just stay for 2 more hours. Just make this the longest episode ever.
Oh no.
No, I'm just
good,
joking. No, I gotta go pee. So.
You gotta go pee.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's always pure joy seeing you.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to share before we close the episode, or if not, then share where we can find you?
Oh, okay. So 2023 for me has been a year of decluttering,
Mm.
and a lot of people are like, "I see you everywhere. You're on this TV show. You're doing that. I hear your voice in this commercial. I hear your voice on TV." Da, da, da. And I actually stopped all of it.
Mm.
So I'm not on PBS. I'm not doing TV shows right now. I'm not doing the voice work for KITV. So I'm just kind of laying low and really taking this year to decompress and kind of pinpoint where I'm headed in my career.
Mm.
So you might not see me as much as you have before, but just know that like I'm just doing this for myself.
Mhm.
And instead of doing like 20 different things, I'm trying to just do maybe 10 and really focus on what that path is.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay involved, you can follow me on all the different social media outlets at Olena Heu on everything. So it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, I said, right?
Yeah.
So
FaceTime. I'll drop her number right after this if anybody wants to
no, he will
FaceTime.
not. But yeah, I'm just honestly, I don't have anything to promote or anything
Mhm.
to sell. I'm just me and living a life of positivity and purpose and hoping that people will not shove Long's carts on my butt just to say
Just
hi.
say hi. Just say, "Hope." Hey.
But
Tap
yeah,
on the
just say
shoulder.
hi.
Yeah.
You know, I think for people that are kind of sort of in the spotlight, we're not walking around with smiles on our faces
Mhm.
all the time, right? So if you do just wave or say hi, like I'm friendly.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, mahalo for sharing that,
Thank
and
you.
I wish you all the best. It's a joy speaking with you, and I'm sure I'll see you around randomly at different events.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eating some food.
Yes. All right, well, mahalo, Elena, for joining us on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Check us out on Hawaiiverse.com, the best place to support local. Spread aloha, be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. New episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Kamaka, and you'll hear me next time on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Ahui hou.